let's pick up with the quick presentation slot. And the topic is redefining finance, navigating the automation in marketing. We already have our presenter, Nabil Merchant, CEO and co-founder with Howl Digital. Can we have a big round of applause for him and have him on the stage, please?
Thank you, guys. So I'll go. I know everyone seems we're coming towards the end of the day, but I'll try and be as articulate as possible. I'll give a quick introduction of Howl. We're a full stack digital solutions company and digital transformation company based out of Mumbai. We're a team of around 85. We've been in the space for 7 years. I've got my twin co-founder as well to file along with me. And yeah, we've also got a couple of clients in UAE and Dubai. And we're looking to start our operations in Dubai, in UAE very, very soon. Okay, that's basically us. So I'm going to talk about redefining finance, navigating digital transformation and marketing, right? Let me first lay some context on what digital transformation essentially is. Digital transformation uses technology, data, content, and media to be able to build interesting tactical tasks and solutions, right, that are away from archaic physical tasks to ensure faster outcomes, right? Now, this can happen at an operational level and this can happen at a marketing level, right? So what we're going to go through right now is more specific on the marketing level. Let me just talk about finance, right? And let me talk about banking, right? And banking, I would talk about global banking and banking that is relevant to India as well, right? Now, the evolution of banking over the last 10 years, we've seen this from branches to ATM to telebanking, and now we're in the era of open banking and blockchain, right? I don't think so any of us, how many of you guys have actually visited a bank branch the last time, right? The last 1 year. How many of you guys have actually visited a bank branch, right? Have you all? Okay, I don't think so. I've visited a bank branch in the last 1 year, right? I do pretty much all my banking, on my mobile phone and the internet. So that's essentially, where we're moving towards, right? The consumer is obviously more complex than we know, right? And I'm talking about all 4 different kinds of personas. We're talking about, Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, and baby boomers, right? This is the kind of audience that we're dealing with. And each of these audiences, right, bring in various complexities in their behavior, right? I'll give you a simple example. Baby boomers, right, is the latter part of the generation. They're usually 60 plus and above. They still prefer signing checks. They still prefer visiting banks. They still prefer a personalized, physical, one-on-one communication, right? And now you're also dealing with a really young audience between the age group of 18 to 27, that we popularly call as Gen Z, who just focus more on, banking to be a lot more fun, a lot more engaging, right? They don't really want to talk to a physical person. They want to do everything on the go, right? So that's the kind of a level of interaction you're having, between both these generations, right? Digital transformation in marketing helps remove the physicality of communication between the consumer and the brand, right? I mean, this is something, that's happening in India, right? The relationship between money and a consumer has changed completely, right? When we talk about payments, convenience to make payments, and suddenly we've got this whole landscape that has evolved in India, right? And it's also happened globally. Fintech startups have come in and are solving at each and every, point of the ecosystem, right? So when we're talking about payments, we've got, platforms like Google Pay, Paytm, right? Razorpay, and a whole bunch of brands that are actually solving that particular problem, right? We've got lending, which has become a huge, huge sector in India, and it's happening globally as well, right? Everywhere where the relationship between a user and the focus of a user and a brand exists, right? More and more fintech companies are going to come inside, right? That's essentially what this key takeaway. Fintech models will emerge wherever there is a relationship of money that needs to be solved in the ecosystem, right? This also exists in the US. This also exists in UAE as well, right? But this is what the India ecosystem actually looks like. This is a really interesting data point, and I think this will in fact shock a lot of people as well, right? The total amount of equity investors in the stock market in a country like India was only 2.3 million users in 2014. Now, this statistic will tell you how digital transformation has changed the way the financial space actually is in India. 2.3 million users in 2014. Now, suddenly in 2024, we've got close to 150 million users, right? I think there might be a little error over there. That's not 2.3 million, that's 23 million users in 2014. We've gone to approximately 6x of the growth in less than 10 years. And we've got 30 million, 20% of that are all female investors, right? Now, in 10 years, to go through 6x of growth can only happen when you have digital transformation in the fintech space, right? Now, for people who are not from India, I'll try to give some context about this particular slide, right? The number of fintech companies that have led the charge in digital transformation has been humongous, right? So, on the right-hand side, you've got these companies. These are discount broking platforms, or what I would typically call, no commission, equity broking platforms, right? They're extremely popular in India. In the US, you have Robinhood, which is, their equivalent, right? Grow, Zerodha, and Upstocks, right? They've become so popular, and they've literally taken the entire bulk of users between the age group of 18 to 33, right? So much so that they've threatened all the larger financial institutions, right? Like HDFC Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank, and Axis Bank. These are very large financial institutions in India, right? We're talking, these institutions are decades old, and they manage the bulk of banking in the country, right? And because they're so large, they're slow to move, right? But they have been forced to move to ensure that they attract the younger audiences, which is why they've come up with their own set of discounting broking platforms. But this essentially shows the level of growth that is happening in this space. And this can only happen through digital transformation, right? Now, what really makes sense out here is what did it actually entails, right? You've got in terms of digital transformation, you want to make very specific changes in product. You want to make specific changes in promotion. You want to make specific changes in the entire model, essentially, right? One of the key things that actually happened is building great digital products, right? So Grow and Upstocks and Zerodha have done a great job in building a great UI UX that allows every user to actually transact very easily. It takes me around 5 minutes to open up a demat account on any of these platforms. It takes them less than 30 seconds for me to buy a stock, right? When it comes to education, right? So I've got the product in my hand, and in case I don't know how I want to invest, I can literally go to this particular platform called Varsity, which is built by one of the larger brands called Zerodha, and I can get all the information about how I want to invest, right from opening up a account to investing in a specific industry, and investing in a specific stock, and so on and so forth, right? So that's what digital transformation has actually done, for the equity space back in India, right? I'm going to skip these slides and quickly jump into what we've done back in India with Howl, right? I'm going to talk about American Express, right? We were posed with a very, very specific challenge in 2020, 21, right? And I'll tell you what the challenge is all about, right? So in 2021, American Express suddenly, had regulatory issues. They had regulatory issues, with the government of India, and they couldn't issue new credit cards. Now just think about this, right? A very large organization like American Express, their entire business is built on issuing more credit cards. and getting more customers to transact. So they came to us in November 2021 and they said, hey, uh, we cannot issue more credit cards. We don't know when this embargo is going to be lifted up. And we don't know, when we're going to get to acquire new users, which means we have a very strange problem. We need to get all our existing customers to transact aggressively, right, in 2022 to 2023, right? Now, how do you go about doing that? Well, the challenge for Amex India, overnight, they had to overnight increase their partnerships team, right? Now, let me give you a little context, right? If I want any of you guys to transact on your credit card, I have to incentivize you, right? I have to incentivize you through very interesting partnerships, right, with other brands, right? So if I give, say, a 2-night, a 3-day, and I get an extra night free in a Marriott in Dubai or possibly in Goa, right? That was going to incentivize you to actually go to their website and actually make a booking with your American Express card. And these offers can range from lifestyle to food to luxury to electronics and so on and so forth. So overnight, American Express actually built a very large partnerships team. And they were building out aggressive collaborations with all these brands. And now suddenly, all of these collaborations had to be communicated to all the existing customers, right? So, here's 6 types of credit cards that can be accessed in a country like India, okay? And all of a sudden, right, we had to look at doing targeted communication with customers across all platforms and potential touch points, right? Now, here's what I want you to think about it, right? That they're close to approximately 2 million customers for American Express in India, right? We're talking about more than 500 brand partnerships across 12 months, right? And we're essentially doing it across all touch points, right? We're doing this across all of industries, the collaborations, and we're doing this across all formats, right? So we deployed, I mean, this is what the outcome actually looked like, right? There was a whole bunch of communications which is being literally deployed and disseminated across all these customers, right? Also keep in mind, there's a deep customer segmentation that needs to be done, right? Because the card that I might have and the card that you may have might be totally different, right? So we had nearly 6,000 pieces of communication that were deployed across audiences, platforms, and different touch points. What it is actually resulted in something really, really crazy. Suddenly, in those 14 months, in those 12 to 14 months, American Express couldn't actually issue a single new credit card, but they got an existing customers to ensure that the revenue of the brand increased by 35%. Now, this can only happen through digital transformation. It is not possible to do this physically anywhere. If you don't have data, if you don't have tech, if you don't have media, you don't have content, it cannot happen. And that's what digital transformation has done in the fintech space, right? This is one of the key case studies, and I'm going to go quickly to the second case study. And the second case study is also something that you guys might have heard of, right? There's a very large South Asia bank called DBS Bank, right? It is called Development Bank of Singapore, and it's essentially I think the second or third largest bank in Asia, and they've aggressively set up in India, and they've been operating in India for the last 18 to 20 years, right? And in 2020, they decided to take over one of India's largest South Indian bank called Lakshmi Vilas Bank, right? Now, which is essentially called LVB, right? Now, Lakshmi Vilas Bank is a bank that has more than 500 branches. 560 branches in the south of India, right? DBS Bank has only around 22 branches in India. DBS Bank has never really gone hard into retail banking, and this is their massive strategic move to become one of the largest international banks in this country. Right now, imagine an international bank like DBS Bank taking over a South India specific bank called Lakshmi Vilas Bank. What do you think is going to happen, right? Chaos happened, right? Like I said, about DBS Bank in India, 34 branches, 25 years in India, 560 branches, and 98 years in India, right? Uh, it was complete chaos, right? The sentiment, right, was extremely negative. They did not want this particular takeover to happen. They felt that an international company is just buying off and going to change the traditional ethos of a South Indian bank that has been there for almost more than a century. Right now, this become a huge problem because here's the crisis. If this is not managed well, suddenly you'll have all the customers of LBS Bank, now DBS Bank, actually leaving the bank, right? So in a matter of around 3 to 4 quarters, we have to quickly turn this around, and we have to turn this on really quickly, right? So what do we go about doing, right? We started, and I'm gonna ignore the slide, but I'm going to talk about two things, right? DBS Bank, right, has a total revenue of around 600 billion US dollars, right? That's close to around maybe 2,000 times the size of LVS Bank. And the second thing is, DBS Bank has been voted Asia's safest bank for the last 16 years. And this is all that we had to communicate to all our audiences, that guys, you're in safe hands, right? This coupled with a couple of really interesting initiatives that we took, right? We took India's largest personality, right? I want to come back to quickly. We took India's largest personality, Sachin Tendulkar, right? He is literally someone the whole country actually admires, right? We ensured that we took very specific, localized audiences, right, as models, or rather as personalities, along with the key personality of India, which is Sachin Tendulkar, and ensured that we communicated this particular key attribute of DBS Bank, right? That we are India's safest bank, and we are here to serve you, right? And what we managed to do really dramatically is created enough of talking points, created enough of communication, built by tradition, secured by innovation. We try to amalgamate both these two important talking points from a DBS perspective and from an LBB perspective, right? And kept doing this and kept doing this and kept doing this, right, for across close to around 3 to 4 quarters, right? And obviously the results actually came out in our favor. So what makes India's best bank? Join us over the next few weeks to know DBS, right? DBS has been in India for 26 years, right? We've got more than 1 million savings accounts. Safety always comes first. We made Sachin Tendulkar actually wear a South Indian traditional I would say not costume but apparel specifically to appeal to the South Indian audience, right? And what we saw was really brilliant, right? I'm going to skip this. There was a disastrous, negative sentiment of close to around 90 to 93%, and within 3 to 4 quarters, we managed to at least bring it up to a positive sentiment of around 45 to 46% in less than 3 to 4 quarters. I mean, now the sentiment is back to around 98, 97 to 98%, right? But again, you can't do this physically. It's not possible. Unless you're not doing this aggressively, digitally, there's no way you can do this physically. So, digital transformation, I'm just going to end by saying that digital transformation is really important in such scenarios when you're dealing with crisis, right? When you need to talk to a very large audience in a very short span of time, right? And that's why digital transformation is very relevant and contextual in today's day and age in the fintech space. Yeah, with that, I will end my session, and I'm going to open up to the audience. If anyone wants to ask any questions, I'll be happy to take some.
Do we have any questions? Anyone? So any one key takeaway from this, particular topic, if Nabil, if you can able to highlight.
Uh, I mean, the key takeaway is this, right? I mean, we're talking about navigating the finance space, and we are talking about digital transformation in marketing, right? Um, Whether you're in the US, whether you're in UAE, or whether in India, we are dealing with very different kind of audiences, right? From the age of 18 till the age of 60, right? Really understanding your audience is what any partner needs to focus on, any brand needs to focus on, and ensure that strategies are built, for each of them, right? Then use data, then use tech, then use interesting content and media to reach out to them, capture them, engage them, right, and keep cross-selling and upselling. That's essentially what digital transformation typically is, especially in the fintech space. Authenticity will be your key. I mean, everyone's spoken about it. So authenticity will be the key content strategy, right? And then you build everything around it because it's finance. You're dealing with money, so that's basically what it is.
Can we have a big round of applause for Nabil?
All right, sure.
Yeah, let's have a photo of Fial and Nabil. Yeah.
Select.
All right.
Thank you. So can anyone can locate who is Nabil and who is Tufai? Thank you. Thank you so much, Nabil.
I would like to ask Mitail to present
Yeah,
certificate
Nabil,
of
can you come, please?
participation to Nabil. So guys, huge round of applause for Nabil for the wonderful session.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.